the category of carbohydrates and fruit. So yeah, fruit are obviously a carbohydrate as well. And this is also one of my favorites to cover in terms of there's so many different types of fruit out there and so many beautiful nutrients we can get from fruit. But at the same time, I also have clients who come to me and they're really worried because they go, I really don't like fruit. I don't want to eat any fruit. And they're concerned about missing out on all these nutrients. So my usual approach with them is to ask them first, do they eat vegetables and do they enjoy vegetables? And most of those people who have come to me saying they don't eat much fruit at all, if any at all, then they'll tell me that they actually do enjoy a lot of vegetables. And I'll say, well, that's fine. You're getting a stack of nutrients from your vegetables, so that's totally fine. Of course, we've got to keep in mind that the categorization of vegetables and fruit is also based on a lot of botany aspects. So when you have some vegetables or typically classified as vegetables such as tomato, they're actually considered from a botany perspective as a fruit because of the way it's been developed. So that means that we've got a whole range of vegetables that can still bring our nutrients to us if we're not eating fruit. So if you're not a big fruit eater, that's fine. Don't panic. Just focus on enjoying your vegetables is what I would be inclined to say. That said, for those people who do enjoy eating fruit, the one thing we do need to be careful of is fruit does contain a lot of sugar in it. And so sugar, again, is one of those things that will increase blood sugar levels and also contribute to inflammation and other issues in the body. Hence why we tend to recommend that you kind of stick to 1 or 2 pieces of fruit per day. Now, a lot of people will find that they might put a whole bunch of fruit in their smoothie in the morning, then have a fruit snack at, midday, and then they'll have another fruit snack in the afternoon and have some fruit for dinner after dinner. And you might find that that's suddenly accumulating to be 5, 6, 7 pieces of fruit a day. There's different approaches to it, of course, but just keeping in mind that fruit does tend to increase blood sugar levels and can be stimulating for some bodies. And that means that some people won't handle it very well, whereas others can handle it perhaps a little bit better. That said, what I also tend to approach with my clients is a bit of common sense with things too. So if someone's having a sweet craving and wanting something sweet to pick them up in the afternoon because they're a little bit tired, they maybe didn't balance their meal correctly for lunch, and so they're having a little bit of a low, and then they'll want to reach for something sweet to have. Fantastic. Have some fruit rather than, say, having a chocolate cake, because obviously the chocolate cake will spike your blood sugar levels much more than a piece of fruit. So again, it's common sense that needs to be applied here. But if we actually look at the fruits that we've got categorized here, what you'll see is I've written here quality fruit that are generally supportive. You got your amazing things like all your berries, your apples, your pears, even dragon fruit, kiwi fruit, passion fruit, bananas, if they're not too ripe. Please note that. Ripe bananas tend to be way too sugary for the body. Then there's also your papaya or pawpaw, and grapefruit, limes and lemons, and honeydew melon and some watermelons too. So those are ones that are tending to be a little bit less intense on their effects on blood sugar levels. Of course, it depends on the amounts you're having. So if you're going to have 6 green apples, you get a significant sugar load. Whereas if you're just having 1 green apple, then that's a much more reduced sugar load that you're getting. As a general gauge, you can say green apples have anywhere between 13 to 15 grams of sugar per green apple, per serve, if you like. And so that's a little bit of a gauge if you're ever comparing things and looking in the supermarket at products and going, how much sugar does this actually have? Would I eat a green apple? How much would I feel an energy hit from that? And so how much have other things got? For instance, a chocolate cake, how much more sugar does it contain in that one slice? So on the right-hand column, we've got what's written as other fruit, best avoided for some people. Now, obviously, with the best avoided for some people, this is particularly looking at a blood sugar level perspective in terms of how much they can spike things compared to other fruit that will tend to do it a little bit less. Your mangoes, pineapples, overripe bananas, oranges, mandarins, stone fruit, grapes, and rockmelon are key ones there. You can see there's a lot of tropical fruit in there, which unfortunately are amazingly delicious and which can obviously spike things quite a bit. And then you've got your dried fruit. Now, dried fruit is a different category of problems in itself because often it's got, the preservatives in there, which can cause a lot of sulfurous gas for a lot of people. If you've ever noticed that for yourself or perhaps for your children, when they eat some dried fruit, they can get really, really smelly farts. And that's an indicator that there's a lot of sulfurous bacteria that have started producing this gas. And so dried fruit is often the culprit from that. So you take that out, and often you'll find that there's much less of that gas production happening, and it's not so smelly. I just want to bring a bit of attention to the overripe bananas. Now, overripe bananas are really, really high in sugar content. So obviously, if you're going to eat a fruit, you're better off having the less ripe bananas. Obviously, not so that they're green and they stick to your teeth, but so that they're just ripe and ready to eat, rather than letting them overripen. Now, the good thing about these overripe bananas is they can actually be used in your cooking as a sweetener. So you may not need to use any sugar or sweetener in some recipes if you're using things like your overripe bananas, because they carry enough sugar content themselves to sweeten up whatever you're making. For instance, some banana muffins or banana bread. It's not to say that you can't have that. It's just that if you're going to have a bread or make a banana bread or something, you're better off using overripe bananas and then not adding sweetener or sugar to it, rather than doing normal bananas and then adding sugar to it. So it just gives you permission to be able to experiment with some of these things and have a better understanding of which ones tend to spike your blood sugar levels and how they can affect your body, versus ones that tend to be a little bit more gentler on the body in terms of blood sugar level activation. One more thing I'll draw your attention to, it's on the left-hand side, we've got grapefruit. So grapefruit is a fantastic fruit to work with, but there's two things to watch out for. One of it is that if you're on any medications, check with your pharmacist first whether it's okay for you to be having any grapefruit. What grapefruit does, it actually can affect your liver and reduce the effect of some medications in your body. So if there's some medications that you're needing particularly to take to support with whatever it is, be it blood pressure medications or whatever else medications you're on, the grapefruit can sometimes interfere with that. So just make sure that you check in to find out if it's okay for you to have that. And same goes for grapefruit juice too. The other thing which can happen with grapefruit and also lemons, limes, and any of your sort of more acidic fruit is that they can, for some people, contribute to sensitivity of the teeth. So that can also happen with things like your blueberries and strawberries and all those. Some people can have very sensitive teeth to begin with, and so having something like these fruit can then sensitize them even more, which can make it difficult for toothbrushing and just in general dealing with cold or hot drinks as well. Well, that pretty much wraps this section up, so we're going to move on to the next part.